Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Sunshine State. And today's date is Thursday, October 22nd, 2020. Yes, I'm in the Ormond Beach area. I had a nice little good route when I drove from Columbus, South Carolina, and took the alternative route. Sometimes I didn't know if I could be a real pain in the ass. But, actually, it did save me a lot of time, so I was pretty pleased. And I got here less than under 4 hours from here to the state line, from Columbia, South Carolina to the state line. And I just browsed around a little bit, see how Jacksonville looked like. Went through St. Augustine at night. Nice little character town. I'm going to go pay there a visit and see the nice little historical landmarks. Oldest city in America, to be exact. So I'll be heading down to South Florida. Maybe a day or so. I'm just taking my time, no stress, and can't wait to see my beautiful people down there, family, friends, everyone in the industry and beyond. Well, the whole political propaganda machine still continues. Crazy weather, stuff is happening worldwide. You'd be surprised. The whole thing, they're focused on two things: COVID-19 and the Trump election, right? Hey, doesn't matter, like President Trump or not. All those bobbleheads in there, they're going after one man, say he's unfit. You should look at their voting record, because actually they're trying to emulate the ones they despise. And these people have been there for a long time. Even Joe Biden. You should look at his track record. Talking about a professional chump. A lot of them in there, regardless of party. Yeah, so I'm examining the sample ballot, and they're worried about the open primary amendment. You want to put people out of business? Put those two out of business? Get them where it hurts. I'm tired of it. A lot of people are. And George Washington warned us about political factions. Political parties. All you gotta do is read his farewell address. I did a show on it too, by the way. For you first-time listeners out there. So, enough of the small talk here. I'm going to be examining this one article. And this one came from thefreedom.com. It's pretty stuff, everything we could mainly relate to. And, this one here is entitled "The 16 Glaring Parallels Between 9/11 and COVID Ops." So I'll be narrating this on the article. I just vary. Depends what mood I'm in. But I think it's pretty cool. A lot of people need to start really pay close attention. I should send this to the politicians too. Oh yeah, I heard about this Criminal Justice Review Board. I'm gonna have to read about it more. I'm gonna have to look at see what this whole review board is about. Systemic racism and all that. So look, the whole thing is, folks, you got technology now. Educate yourselves. Learn about your rights. They're not going to teach you this in civics. So always make that. Always got to make those. Make sure to know these, because that is your duty, your obligation. Not someone else do it for you. Too many people like to get handouts. They can't even earn their respect. They want things handed to them. You know what? Don't even waste your time. Just give them a bar of Palmolive soap so go contaminate space somewhere else. All right. We'll just read it from here. This is from Makia Friedman. Came out late yesterday. And it says here, at a glance, there are numerous striking 9/11 COVID similarities ranging from before the operation event happened, foreknowledge, to how it was covered up afterwards. The implications, ops like 9/11 and COVID-19, are psychological in nature. We can discern the pattern of manipulation if we pay attention and thus become immune to it. And like it says here, there are numerous 9/11 COVID similarities to be seen and understood as the world goes deeper into Operation Coronavirus. Many nations around the world, including Canada and Australia, are making moves to roll out the next phase of the operation, which involves digital identities, biometrics, and digital vaccine certificates or immunity passports, just as Bill Gates foretold all those months ago. It's fun because there's a one site based out of England called COVID Pass. I did a show on that a while back and put on the TeknoAXE and so forth. I made my comments on Instagram, guys from COVID Pass. Oh no, we're not centralized. We support decentralization. Get your fuck straight. Yeah, bloody wanker. I like to talk smack and trying to sell me something like it's recycled pus. You know, the same. It has how much value it has. All right, so I just get a big kick out of these people. All right, it is imperative that we understand that the far-reaching operation or live exercise designed to fundamentally transform society in alignment with the goals of the New World Order. By comparing the current COVID op to the 9/11 op, we can discern the patterns and become wiser to the agenda. For there is a certain way that evil hijacks good. Below is a list of 16 different 9/11 COVID similarities that I have noticed. However, there may well be any more. Number 1, MSM and government amp up the fear of incessant coverage and propaganda. The mainstream media has barely focused on anything other than COVID since March, with the purpose of almost all the news being to scare the living daylights out of people and render them into docile submission. Many of the initial projects turned out to be completely and utterly wrong. The Gates own WHO, World Health Organization, predicted the IFR infection fatality rate would be 3.4% when later a Stanford University study at the CDC put it more like 0.1 to 0.26%. The Gates-funded Imperial College predicted 2 million Americans would die when actually around 225,000 have so far, and those official statistics are embarrassingly fake due to COVID death certificate fraud. Likewise, the aftermath of 9/11, there was unending propaganda about how freedom itself was under attack by radical Islamic terrorism. Yes, and even some of the victims' families are saying that now. So how much they got paid off and been possibly threatened. I noticed that in the last couple of 9/11 events in New York City. People were first traumatized and besieged with slew misinformation which disguised the true conspirators, shifted attention to fictitious enemies, and false desiring people to want to be saved, the basis for increased governmental control. One of the interesting 9/11 COVID similarities is the color-coded threat chart. Oh yeah, remember that? Remember that, folks? The color-coded chart? The threat chart? Yeah, when it's red, it's severe. When it's like gold, when it's like gold, it's a high. Elevated is yellow, it's aqua blue, and low is green. Okay, remember that? Yeah, definitely. Don't worry, I'll put this on my Spreaker page. And of course, how we move to the next impact level, same thing. Stay at home, safer at home, act with care, recovery, and the new normal, no disruption. So very similar. Okay, moving forward, minimum days, 14 days of observation between decision points before moving to the next impact level. Decisions to be made by governor and mayors informed by subject matter experts. Ooh, yeah. I want Big Pharma be my experts on how this is going, right? And of course, more governmental propaganda as usual. So, hey, it's very similar, okay? And they all say, oh, yeah, because they're taking my freedom. That's like 9/11. You know, Giuliani said that. Hey, someone told me that. When someone said that to me, you know, my response is, someone Excuse me. I told people this. If someone says to me in front of my face, they attack because of our freedoms, I say you deserve to punch them right in the mouth because they're lying to you. And I say that symbolically speaking. Okay, 2, governmental reaction kills way more people than the event itself. In both cases, governmental reaction is worse than the supposed threat itself, just as Western medicine, where frequently the cure is worse than the disease. Chemo, anyone? The official narrative of 9/11 tells us around that 3,000 Americans died from the event. However, 9/11 spawned the war on terror. Under whose auspices? The U.S. invaded Iraq, Afghanistan, and later many other Middle Eastern nations, killing at least 1 million people in Iraq alone. And just to let you folks know, too, some of the politicians in there that are talking smack about the president supported the invasion of Iraq, including Joe Biden. Remember, he supported the Patriot Act as well. Those are facts, and I know Trump signed something in there pertaining to Patriot Act, all these with these bundle amendments. See, that's one of his biggest flaws, too. Signing stuff that's bundled. And people still try to defend the man? I disagree. But, I'm just giving you my intake on this, on that matter. But I'll continue on. Alright. And it says here, when Operation Coronavirus began, we were told to lock down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. However, we are 7+ months later, and people are still walking around wearing masks and not getting too close. Meanwhile, the result of governmental lockdown policies have been increased stress, anxiety, depression, joblessness, poverty, crime, and suicide. Many people and organizations, there's links on here, you can look for yourselves, have predicted the lockdown will kill more people than it supposedly saved. And number 3, no investigation of coincidences. The 9/11 false flag op was characterized by a stunning series of coincidences which never investigated and which the authorities swept under the rug, such as passport magically surviving office fires and falling to the ground intact, a building crumbling on its own accord 8+ hours after planes had hit nearby buildings, but not it, and fighter jets failing to be scrambled from the nearest base. In the COVID op, it was quite astonishing coincidence that Fauci, via NIH, funded Chinese virology labs in Wuhan to the tune of $7.4 million, 2 lots of $3.7 million for gain of function research, or in plain English, weaponization of virus research. It was also rather coincidental that the U.S. military, Bill Gates, and other New World Order organizations and people were planning for this exact scenario years before it happened. Number 4, introduction of fundamental new paradigm, war on terror versus the war on bioterror. As I covered in my March 2020 article, The New War on Bioterror, everyone is a suspected or asymptomatic carrier. We are being steadily indoctrinated into new paradigm of biosecurity whereby the authorities hope to advance their agenda of control by appealing to the need for public safety against a new enemy. In the post-9/11 world, there was the war on terror, and the concocted enemy was bin Laden and radical Islamic terrorists. In the post-COVID world, there is the war on bioterror, and the concocted enemy is an invisible virus. In both cases, we are told the enemy could be lurking anywhere and everywhere, and only increased governmental surveillance and control could save us. Number 5, 9/11 COVID similarities, false official narratives. In both operations, the official narrative has more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese. In the 9/11 op, we were supposed to believe that terrorists managed to fly planes into buildings with such skill using maneuvers that even experienced pilots could not manage, while the laws of physics were suspended that day as jet fuel magically burnt through concrete and steel, despite the fact that jet fuel doesn't have high enough burning point to do so. In the COVID op, we are supposed to believe that a virus is literally everywhere, can be transmitted via cash, can live on surfaces of days or weeks, and thrives on asymptomatic transmission when no other known virus has ever done so. 6. Foreknowledge. Why did BBC report Building 7 have fallen 30 minutes before it actually did? Why did San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown and author Salman Rushdie, he's the one who wrote, oh shoot, what was that one called? Salman Rushdie, if I'm correct, he wrote that book about the Quran, and they're all like gunning from. Remember, he's just another psyop guy, operative. Both get calls beforehand to them not to board planes going to New York City. Why did the Chinese government run a drill for coronavirus break 30 days before the Wuhan military games? Why did the U.S. government run or pass so many simulations, drills, and laws that planned for the coronavirus? Yeah, New World Order 101, right? Absolutely. And 7, event preceded by exercises, drills that went live or eerily mimic what later happened. According to Ken Ryan, NORAD practiced 28 hijack events within 2 years of 9/11, 6 of which focused on hijacking within U.S. and 1 which practiced an interception of hijacked planes headed for the UN building in New York City. It won't. They touched that anyway. Webster Tarpley researched that there were 46 drills and exercises taking place on the day of 9/11. Meanwhile, in Operation Coronavirus, in addition to things such as Dark Winter, Atlantic Storm, Clyde X, Crimson Contagion, there was now infamous Event 201, which simulated an actual coronavirus outbreak that comes from Brazil and enters the U.S. to infect millions. See above, like simulations, drills, and laws. Like even the whole thing in Brazil with the Zika virus. They claim it's, there's mosquitoes, and actually it's the chemicals contaminating the waters in Brazil. That's where you got your Zika virus. Remember talking about that? I talked about that 4 years ago. Yeah, Zika virus exposed. 8, insider trading. 9/11 was marked by massive amounts of insider trading. This study initiation of 9/11 operation with evidence of insider trading beforehand does a good job of exposing the details. Meanwhile, before COVID struck the U.S., there were many politicians, especially senators, who bought or sold stock before the U.S. economy crashed. 9. Suspicion benefits to a powerful few. Isn't it interesting how big players seem to benefit the most from these catastrophes and crises? During 9/11, Halliburton defense contractors, oil and gas companies, and others invested in Iraq and Afghanistan to make a killing. And it's interesting about that because you can watch this movie, Iraq for Sale. They did a good job. That was a good documentary about that. So, Keo Bono, who benefits, right? During COVID-19, we learned that certain billionaires increased their wealth by a whopping 27%. In both cases, the rich and powerful got more rich and powerful. Number 10, intelligence agency control of information. Manufactured crises like 9/11 and COVID opened the door for private corporations like the MIC, which is a military intelligence complex, to gain a foothold in terms of greater access to our data. 9/11 was a good business for surveillance companies. Peter Tice, CIA infiltrated company, Palantir, manages the database used by the CDC in the U.S. and the NHS in the UK that are the basis of COVID decision making. All right, something to think about there. 11. 9/11 COVID similarities, a fictitious, all-powerful, and elusive enemy. Think about it for a minute. Al-Qaeda and SARS-CoV-2 can rarely be seen, can't easily stop or stopped at all. Require a great amount of time, money, and focus to be defeated, with more war in the mentality, and are a completely new kind of enemy, asymmetrical warfare and asymptomatic transmission. We are told that other human coronaviruses behave in a seasonal, highly predictable manner, but not SARS-CoV-2. It was somehow different. The FBI never formally charged bin Laden. Meanwhile, he looked different in every fake video they released. Bin Laden seemed to have more lives than a proverbial cat, but in the end, we were told to just to believe that they had killed him and threw his body at sea, and there is never any proof. Several alleged Middle Eastern hijackers turned up alive elsewhere. Compare these fictitious enemies to a virus that has never been isolated and purified. And I like to say this. I remember the whole Bin Laden thing. Oh yeah, they buried him at sea with his head facing Mecca. And it was funny because Barack Obama talked about this at the speech in Philadelphia yesterday and say, oh yeah, they said it was a fake death, those conspiracy theories. Yeah, because that's what happens when you're a bend over Bob to the New World Order, just like Barry Soetoro. Think about it, folks. Don't believe the hype from these treasonous parasites, okay? He's just a very good example. At number 12, junk science. For the most part, science has sadly become a tool for money interests to push their agenda. He who pays the piper's call the tune. There are many intellectual prostitutes and white coats will find any result they are paid to find. Both operations are marked by junk and fraudulent science. In the case, there is all chicanery around the fall of all three buildings, including in three buildings in NYC, including the cover-up of NIST, which was well exposed earlier this year in the University of Alaska Fairbanks study, a structural revaluation of the collapsed tower of World Trade Center 7. I remember I posted this one time on that article in PDF format in Marco Rubio. Oh, lies, fake! I was there. The Muslims was responsible for 9/11. Yeah, just give that person a penile microphone, okay? Another conformist or troll. Professional architects, engineers, and POS have all declared that the official 9/11 narrative is not scientifically sound and in defiance of the laws of physics. Likewise, the official COVID narrative has thoroughly abused science by exploiting people's ignorance of a nature of a virus and the nature of contagion and disease. It is also hyped the falsified numbers under the rubric of science to scare people, offer financial incentives for doctors and hospitals to inflate COVID cases, deaths, not to mention use the key deception of with the virus versus from the virus to obfuscate the real cause of deaths in millions of people. Censorship and dissent. Another of the 9/11 COVID similarities is that both were marked by censorship and the suppression of evidence. In the COVID op, Google-owned YouTube has been deleting channels left, right, and center with CEO Susan Wojcicki. Hope I pronounced that person's name correct. Announcing at one point she would not allow any content with information contrary to the Gates-owned WHO, or World Health Organization. In the 9/11 op, the MSM carefully selected from whom they wanted to interview, and heroes like William Rodriguez were initially welcomed but brushed aside when they refused to follow the script. Compare George Bush Sr.'s "Let us not tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Remember that? Oh, yeah. And the same assholes now are doing the same thing. The same old rhetoric, conspiracy theories. Remember, Adolf Hitler used it. So did many other tyrants in the 20th century at the least. All right, with the current propaganda that you're killing grandma if you step outside without a mask. 14. Denunciation of deniers. The word denier has become something of a weaponized term in the last decade. Have thrown against those who refuse to believe in certain narratives, e.g. climate change denier or climate denier for those who do not buy the man-made global warming story. At the end of World War II, Hermann Goering admitted the game plan of leaders in the country. Why the course the people don't want war? Naturally, the common people don't want war, neither in Russia nor in England nor, for the matter, in Germany. That is understood. But people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them that they're being attacked and denounce the peacemakers for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country. Another of the great 9/11 COVID similarities is the denunciation of deniers, the denunciation of anyone not following the governmental official narrative. Okay? In 9/11, it went something like this. You're unpatriotic and un-American if you don't hate Al-Qaeda and Bin Laden. Well, in COVID, it goes something like this. You're selfish and you're endangering the community if you protest, don't socially distance, and don't wear a mask. They think alike and smell the same. 15. Introduction of a new layer of security state bureaucracy. In both cases, a whole new layer of security state bureaucracy was introduced. In the 9/11 op, the Department of Homeland Security was created. In just a few years, this federal department quickly grew into one of the largest federal agencies, taking in tens of billions of taxpayer dollars each year ever since. The term homeland hardly existed in the U.S. before that. The DHS also spawned the infamous TSA, thousands standing around, notorious for the two-pronged option it gives travelers, radiation or molestation. I say this, folks, opt out and be really smelly. That's all I gotta say. Let them earn their money. Meanwhile, the COVID op has yet to spawn a new U.S. federal agency. However, it is undeniable that the pretext of COVID has given governments massive power to penetrate deeply into our lives. 16. Psychological ritualistic trauma. The 9/11 op was very ritualistic. Two small examples on the numerology. 9/11 is a number call in the U.S. when there is an emergency and the echoes of Freemasonry. The WTC Twin Towers representing the twin pillars of Boaz and Joachim. Interesting there, right? Likewise, as I covered in the article Exposing the Occult of Corona Initial Ritual, the entire length and breadth of Operation Coronavirus is steeped in ritual, including phases such as lockdown and quarantine isolation, rejection, hand washing, masking wearing, censorship, submission, dehumanization, reinforcing a false idea, danger, alternative persona, and social distancing, the new normal. The 9/11 COVID similarities are striking, since in both cases the idea is to traumatize the public through fear, separate them from customary modes of functioning, and break them down so they will accept a new way of being. Absolutely. I've been saying that for a long time. Kio bono, who benefits, right? Absolutely. So, final thoughts on 9/11 COVID similarities. To understand these two massive psychological operations is to understand the way the new NWO agenda advances in our world. There is a distinctive pattern to the darkness, unconsciousness, and the way it deceives, betrays, distracts, obfuscates, and manipulates. Ultimately, we know the end game is to put people in such states of anxiety, stress, and fear that they will accept level of state security, corporocratic surveillance, invasion of privacy, and violation of their sovereign, unalienable, inherited God-given rights. My hope is that articles such as these shine a light on the darkness and bring it to the surface to be exposed, so that deception is no longer effective. The power of these false flag events and psyops lies in their capacity to manipulate perception. Once an awakened populace sees through it, their power evaporates. Hat tip to Kevin Ryan. And there's plenty of sources. You can look it up for yourselves and make your own judgment, folks. Very good article, and I'm very pleased to narrate this. The truth of the matter is, Kio bono, who benefits, and the New World Order loves to manifest negative energy around us. And it's really disturbing because you got the same people get caught in the same, they're like habitual offenders, hook, line, and sinker. And this is why I have to ask folks like that. You haven't learned a confounded thing on September 11th, 2001. Not one damn thing. That's meek and unmerited on your part. But many of the people out there have taken the initiative on studying this stuff, seeing the patterns, and defying it. Don't have to do protest. Just nullify. Nullification is good. Hey, one of my good hashtags I started, Nullification 2020. Use it. And I'm about to do it every year. I recommend people do it. So get people to start to think. It's a lot bigger than what it is, my friends. And many of you out there are waking up, and I thank you, and sharing it with others. Very good example about my time when I officially announced and declared, based on my research and homework, even on mainstream garbage media, that September 11th was a New World Order agenda. That was September 14th, 2001. So 19 years, I'm still saying it. To be respectful, I can't use inside job because it's too vague or bland. When I call it NWO, agenda? Yeah, people think. So you got to get them to contemplate, for sure. So, that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Furthermore, I'll leave this footnote on my Spreaker page. And I encourage people to subscribe to thefreedomsarticles.com. Do a donation if you can. And if you want to donate to me, it's paypal.me/lookyluck3. If you want to do an email, I'll give you two sites. It's lookyluck3@gmail.com, which I mainly use it for just to subscribe to stuff, but I may just take it down anytime. They need me more, I need them. I recommend folks to hit me at lookyluck03@protonmail.com. That'll be pretty. I like that one a lot better. So, yeah, I'm just going to do a song from a band called Disciples of Babylon. And it's supposed to be coming out on the 30th. So they have a preview. So you can download it. I'll leave the link on there and the Facebook page for the band. And just to let you folks know that the frontman, Eric Knight, him and I have been friends for over 25 plus years in the local music scene. And there's times I'm not a fan of some of his stuff, but I always give him love and support. Because he has a great vibe, very intelligent. He has very good taste in music. You'd be surprised what he likes. And when I tell some people about him, they're like, what? It's like, oh yeah. One thing about musicians and fans of music in general, if you vary, if you don't vary, you're not part of the scene or a musician. So I love his style. I treat him as a brother. Every time we meet in person, we hug, we just mingled. Good man. And I love you, Eric. Hopefully you do fine. And hey, I'm proud of you because you stayed the course, and no one can tell you anything. So homage to him and his band Disciples of Babylon. He's in California right now. Just be safe out there, my friends, if you live in that state. And I'll play a song called Liberty, which will be coming out. So it was on Spotify, but like I said, I'll just post all the stuff here on Facebook. You can find Facebook, Twitter. I know I'm digressing. Forgive me. And that will be it. So once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.